but the captain's at a party. Pretoria answer the call, like it gone to sleep, Adam Gardner stand tall. In the harbor of Durban, the seal ships ride. The ANC plays a game of seek and hide. They call for the exercise in like the east wind, and point the paging and say they're the ones who sin. Joram was under this, I guess, at the gate. Now they say who invited them, it must have been fake. Confusion in the Union building, shadows on the wall. Now the truth gets buried in the marble hall. Who is running the land? Tell me, who's in command? Is it the suit in the office or the gun in hand? Oh, that from the Congo mud to the Pretoria street, the drums of the rock start to skip a beat. No boots for the boys, no armor for the chest, but millions for the dollar. The go take a rest. And she speaks of an inquiry, a code to be won, but the days turn to weeks and the paper is torn. No answers coming down as the heavy silence, while the heroes in the bush face no rebel violence. Sent to the jungle with no wings in the sky, only 3 helicopters, how can they fly? No medevac coming when they let us for rain. Chased by the rebels, oh the pride and the pain. No uniform, no boot, no boots, oh wait, look at the budget for the big salute. P7, 2 million for retirement spree. Modern Navy is sinking beneath the sea. Not a submarine moving, not a sailor in sight, but the body lights are burning to the Pretoria night. The chief of defense, he's a law to himself. The commander of the Navy puts the stay on the self, defying the colonial, ignoring the sir, while the ghost of the fly starts to wake and to stir. And what's this whisper? What's this dark news? A chairman tried with murder, and he's the one they choose. Promoted to the side, for the dockets go forward. Is this the new story that's being told? Who is running the land? Tell me, who's in command? Is it Siren? Is it Langy? Does Ronnie understand? Oh, from the Crown Hope to the Pretoria street, the drums of the ropes are to skip a beat. No boost for the boys, no armor for the chest, but millions for the tenor on the moat in the rest. The generals are dancing, the politicians are glancing. The money is vanishing, and the soldiers are wandering. Who's the boss? Siren. Who's the boss? And King. The military's gone rogue in the sun. The parade has only just begun.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Saturday, June 27th, 2026. 3 days until the deadline set by domestic terrorists for foreign nationals to leave South Africa. They try after the fact to cover up their desire, saying only wanting illegal immigrants out, but in fact they're targeting all foreign nationals. The death of Mozambicans, Ghanaians, and a Malawian have proven just how evil these domestic terrorists are. The feeble attempt by the South African government to address this belatedly is distressing. Still, to this point, only one national political leader has stepped forward to refute this nonsense and ask for calm. That, of course, was Jordan Hill Lewis of the Democratic Alliance. No others have stepped forward asking for calm. There are a number of developments today we'll talk about from the private sector trying to make a difference in this. But the bottom line today, ladies and gentlemen, 3 days before the events, let's lay out a few things. South Africa's population is approximately 63 million people. 80% of that are black South Africans. Understand that black South Africans, by and large, are not part of this. This is a relatively small number of thugs, vigilantes, and lunatics who are perpetrating this nonsense. Nonetheless, that doesn't diminish the danger. It doesn't take many to cause mayhem. It doesn't take many to harm others. It doesn't take many to kill, loot, or burn. The vast majority of South African citizens are law-abiding citizens who will respect the rule of law. Unlike the political parties that run the country, they respect the rule of law, the vast majority. Do not presume if you're black, white, or brown that the black, white, or brown person adjacent to you or next to you is opposed to you just because they're black, white, or brown. This is hysteria, and it will not help you. Your fellow South Africans, by and large, feel the same way you feel. They are not part of this. That said, June 30th is rapidly approaching. Protests have been taking place all over the country. Threats by domestic terrorists have been taking place. Foreigners have been assaulted, and tens of thousands have fled the country and are fleeing the country at this hour because the Afrophobic, xenophobic, racist violence being fomented by rabble-rousers and organizations led by people like Jacinta Nkubisi Zuma, who says she just wants to help the police. Does she really? Well, making threats and deadlines for people to be out of the country is not how you help others. June 30th is approaching. If you have not already stockpiled batteries, water, rations, if you have firearms, ammunition, and other things to protect yourself, if you do not have radios, then you're not prepared. If you've not done rehearsals well in advance of today, you're not prepared. If you live in a major metropolitan area in KwaZulu-Natal or in Gauteng, you need to be vigilant, extra vigilant. If you live in rural South Africa, you must be vigilant. South Africa's countryside will be denuded of law enforcement and military over the next several days as they concentrate in urban areas and leave South Africans vulnerable, even more vulnerable than they normally are, a time where criminal syndicates likely will seek to take advantage of this. Farm attacks. Prepare for June 30th if you live in major metropolitan areas for the networks to be saturated. The tens of millions of text messages and WhatsApp videos being shared will collapse cellular services in some areas. You may find it difficult to get a message through. If you're relying on cellular telephone networks for your communications, you're making a mistake. If you haven't got a reserve of petrol on your farm or for your vehicles, if you haven't topped off, if your power banks are not charged, you are not prepared. What I have to say to all of you is this is an activity you should practice every day in South Africa. You should always be prepared for this sort of thing. South Africa sits on a tinderbox fomented by political ghouls who enrich themselves at the expense of tens of millions of others. And they've done so for decades, blaming Jan van Riebeck, apartheid, and now Donald Trump for their corruption, their failures, their racism, their bigotry, and their arrogance. The only people responsible are the people running South Africa. They're the ones responsible for this. The collapse of the cloven hoof meat industry in South Africa can be attributed to the ANC and John Steenhuisen. The corruption in the country, the lack of prosecution of criminals can be attributed to the African National Congress. The deplorable state of the military, its unreadiness, its unpreparedness, its lack of equipment, training, or resources is entirely attributable to the African National Congress. The racist legislation in the country today is entirely attributable to the African National Congress. The economic malaise, entirely attributable to the African National Congress, and to the willing partners in the private sector who've colluded with the ANC to ensure their monopolies and their oligarchies remain in place in the banking system and the retail sector. They have stunted entrepreneurialism. They have stunted growth for their own personal gain. And one day, those people will pay a price, either in this life or in the afterlife. They will pay a price for the harm they've done to tens of millions. But let's turn our attention to June 30th, 2026, not the future and the afterlife for these people. Hundreds of people protesting in a rehearsal for June 30th. Hundreds march in Wall streets in dress rehearsal for June 30th protest. About 500 anti-immigrant protesters marched from Orange Farm to Sebokeng, with informal traders shutting down stalls as they passed by. The organizers described Saturday's march as preparation for larger nationwide protests planned on June 30th. Protesters demanded the government prioritize citizens over undocumented immigrants. And when Donald Trump does the same thing in America, prioritizing citizens over criminal alien invaders, South African politicians call him a racist. Are they calling these people racist? No, they're not. Because Prioritizing your citizens over criminal alien invaders is not racism, it's the rule of law. However, these people do not believe in the rule of law. They're simply using it as a crutch. Led by men dressed in traditional attire and singing Zulu struggle songs, the group gathered at Orange Farm at 8 a.m. and made their way along the Golden Highway to Sebokeng under heavy police escort. The number grew as they marched. Several informal traders operating along the Golden Highway and the Mushweshwe Road in Sebokeng shut down their stalls as the marchers passed. We're expecting the coming march to be much bigger than this one. This is a dress rehearsal. We want our government to listen to us. We are the people who put them in power. Without us, they have no power. Yeah. Okay. If we don't stand up for our country, nobody will. We don't want undocumented foreign nationals. They must return to their countries and come back legally. No, I just don't think you want them there at all. How can you simply say you want them to go home and come back legally when you're saying that they're taking your jobs and you don't want them there? Obviously, there's a lie. President Cyril Ramaphosa has changed his tone and his tune. And he's turning to begging royal families in South Africa to help stop the anti-immigrant violence. He's called on kings and queens to prevent communities from being mobilized for anti-migrant violence. Chief Matsila warns singling out Limpopo for tribal profiling risks sparking ethnic violence across communities. The AmaZulu king, Mzulu Kwazilatini, pleads for no bloodshed as the violence approaches. Of particular concern are statements identifying Limpopo province as an area allegedly harboring or incubating illegal immigrants and alleged plans by the seemingly self-styled and tribalistic enthusiastic march organizers to invade our peaceful communities. Yeah, well, a little too late. The New York Times says that thousands are fleeing South Africa as anti-immigrant attacks grow. But it's not anti-immigrant. Stop lying. I'm so sick of these leftist media outlets lying. These are not immigrants. When you enter a country illegally, you're not an immigrant. Immigrants present themselves at border posts with legitimate documentation, legitimate basis to enter a country. And then a coast country allows them to come in for education, for tourism, for visiting relatives, for conducting business, for living there. That is what an immigrant does. Not a criminal alien invader. They are not immigrants. They are criminal alien invaders. Use the proper term. There's a fence separating Charles Paul, a migrant, no, a criminal alien invader from Malawi, from his South African girlfriend, Sanesiwe Nixila, and their son. So he came and knocked up a South African. A street corner in the South African coastal city of Durban has become a bustling center of desperation. Thousands of migrants crowd around colorful plastic sacks, boxes of trash bags carrying what belongs they could salvage before fleeing the country. Women tuck their babies under blankets. Vendors hawk solar-powered cell phone chargers and potato chips. Portable toilets, large green water tanks, and makeshift showers fashioned from gray tarps are the only sanitation available, as these Malawians desperately seek to return to the country after illegally invading South Africa. Fearing for their safety as the deadline approaches, thousands of illegal aliens awaiting to leave South Africa have resorted to sleeping outside government offices, foreign missions, or in Durban in an old park. Yep. Thousands of Malawians fleeing the country, back to the warm heart of Africa. Foreigners at the Durban drive-in site will be moved to Limpopo Processing Center. The Durban municipality has resolved to move foreigners accommodated at the Durban drive-in temporary repatriation site to the newly established temporary repatriation processing center at Musina in Limpopo province near the border. Follows a resolution of the Interministerial Committee on Migration Friday as part of the government's coordinated response to manage irregular migration, expediting voluntary repatriation efforts. The national government has confirmed more than 15,000 Malawians have already been processed for deportation and voluntary repatriation. 15,000. Malawian nationals relocated from that Durban drive-in to Messina in Limpopo. Enhance the verification and processing of undocumented foreign nationals, facilitate faster and more efficient repatriation. But how do you enhance the process when corrupt border officials have been taking bribes to let many of these people enter the country? South African firms in the private sector are pledging drones ahead of the anti-migrant protest in an effort to help the under-resourced government. South African businesses will support the police with drones and helicopters next week when anti-immigrant groups' deadline for undocumented migrants to leave the country expires. Business Against Crime South Africa has activated extensive public-private support measures to assist the police ahead of the expected anti-foreigner mobilization. Support is being coordinated through E2 Plus, BAXA's flagship private public crime fighting program. Never even heard of this program. Have you? Have you heard about this? E2 Plus member companies have committed to support the police with helicopters, piloted drones, armed response, and armored vehicles, and access to 7,000 closed-circuit television cameras, among other measures. 7,000. There are 7,000 closed-circuit television cameras in the Soho district of London alone. And the entire country of South Africa, they're going to use 7,000 closed-circuit television cameras to stop this. I'm sorry. I appreciate the effort to try, but 7,000 CCTV. As I said, there are more than 7,000 CCTVs in the Soho district of London alone. Give me a break. Give me a break. They will have to pay the cost. Echoing Donald Trump, Firoz Chachila, the acting police minister, says that they'll pay for the cost of the $600 million. Yeah, just like Iran's going to pay for the damage they've done. Not. Acting Minister of Police Firoz Chachila has criticized organizers a planned nationwide protest, saying claims that the action serves the public interest are false and that the protests are instead causing economic, financial, human, and diplomatic harm. There's a narrative out there propagated by those who are organizing this reckless and disruptive behavior that are acting in the interest of their citizens and the interest of people. In fact, their behavior is economic, financial, human, and diplomatic cost, as we heard from Minister Lamola. Indeed, they're acting in a way that harms our citizens' well-being and our national interests. So those that are involved in organizing this disruptive behavior accompanied by violence, we have heard that there have been fatalities, will have to pay the cost of both their criminal actions and they'll be held civilly liable. Wow. Really? Really, nobody is held liable for June or July 2021. Nobody's been held liable for July 2021. So how much credibility does Firoz Chachila have? Zero. Nobody's been held accountable for Pala Pala. Nobody's been held accountable for the raided dairy farm scandal, for the arms scandal. I mean, Shabir Sheikh is out, his deadly disease 15 years ago, walking the streets today. No one's been held accountable for Travelgate, for Oilgate, for PPE theft, and no one has been held accountable for anything, for the Venda Bank scandal. Julius Malema is still not in prison for his conviction endangering public safety. He wasn't held accountable for the civil conviction in threatening the life of Dante van Wyk. No one's been held accountable. No one. No one is held accountable, South Africa. Oh, unless they're white or Indian or colored. Then they're held accountable. But no one is held accountable if they suit the ANC's needs. Drones and armored cars from South African businesses mobilized for that civil unrest. The scale of mobilization reflects the seriousness with both which the state and the private sector are approaching the situation, says Anton du Plessis. Well, I don't doubt Mr. du Plessis, but the state isn't serious. They didn't start dealing with this until about 10 days ago. More than 5,000 illegal immigrants have fled their homes for fear of being targeted and taken refuge in an abandoned building in Pietermaritzburg. That building's going to be torched, most likely. I would get out of there if I were those people. I would get out of there now. Now. Do not hang around. It's a small minority, but the government's spending 600 million rand for a small minority. What is a small minority? Of 43 million black South Africans, 100,000 is a small minority, but that's still a lot of people. Deputy Police Minister Dr. Polly Boshielo warned that law enforcement would act decisively against violence linked to the 30 June protest. She said she feared that the protest could be associated with murder, violence, looting, and destruction of property. So Deputy Police Minister Dr. Polly Boshielo opens her cake hole on June 27th. I'm sorry. These domestic terrorist threats were issued well over a month ago. Why haven't we seen anything about that? Thank you, Bia, for the super chats. Why has she not spoken sooner? What has held her up? UDM leader Major General Bantu Holomisa is calling for a cross-border moratorium to restore system integrity. In other words, he wants the borders shut down for a year. UDM leader Bantu Holomisa suggested a moratorium of up to 1 year on cross-border movement to give South Africa time to deal with its immigration challenges. Unfortunately, that is not going to work. Trucks move back and forth, moving goods and services, and they must enter the country and exit the country. People have family members. There are emergencies. There are operations. There are deaths and births in the family, and people should be allowed to move about. I'm not really sure. I will reach out to General Holomisa and ask him if he comes on the program, as he's done many times in the past, to explain his position on this, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, shutting down the borders for a year. That's not the solution. Removing corrupt border patrol agents is part of the solution. Patrolling the borders with the South African infantry companies, which is what they used to do, is another part of it. Arresting, detaining, deporting, and biometrically tracking the people who've come into the country illegally is the answer. American firm is being sued, a farmer, for hiring South Africans and paying them more. This is a long-running story in the Mississippi Delta. And this case is nothing to do with the refugee program, but they're claiming that they're hiring them because they're culturally close to them. They're only hiring white South Africans and not black South Africans to be farm workers and H-2A visas. Well, that's largely true, but there's a reason for that. Most black South African farmers are subsistence farmers. Mississippi Delta farmers don't need subsistence farmers. They need farm managers and people with agronomy skills and meteorology skills and business skills, and that's who the white folks are. Also, the black Americans who are complaining about this don't appreciate the fact that racism prevents these white farmers from working in South Africa and making a living there. Thank you, soccer boy. It doesn't allow them to work there and make a living because of racist laws in South Africa. If you have a large farm and you hire your son to be the farm manager, and you only have a handful of managers, well, you're not allowed to have him because you don't have enough black managers. So your own son can't be a farm manager on your own property. How asinine is that? That is South Africa. So these black farmers are right to complain that they're being paid less than the H-2A, because apparently the law says you must be paid the same as the H-2A workers. But they're wrong to make the false racist allegation it has anything to do with cultural affinity. It has everything to do with the fact that they're hiring human capital at a very low price. $15 an hour is dirt cheap. It's less than they pay people to work at McDonald's locally here. So, Bia, thank you for the 10 Rand. What's with all the 10 Rand super stickers? Anyway. They claim that South Africans are earning up to 800% more than local workers. That is impossible. Impossible. 800% more than local workers. That's just nonsense. H-2A workers do not make that much money. They do not make that much money. There's no way that 800 times. That's just simply a lie. This is just a grift by people in the South. They've been hired as independent contractors. They're not required to work there. That was their choice. I work as an independent contractor, and I have to pay my Social Security tax and my employer's Social Security tax because I am my own employer, and I get paid a $10.99. The same way these black workers are getting paid. They're right to complain that their wages are too low at $10, and they should match the H-2A. But the rest of this is just poppycock. It's just poppycock. More race grifting. South African Airways is considering bodyguards for officials to fight corruption. The airline is investigating allegations that a criminal syndicate is operating within South African Airways its technical company. South African Airways Technical is exploring a possibility of providing close protection service to its employees investigating allegations of fraud and rooting out a criminal syndicate said to be fleecing the entity. Well, I should hope so, because every lawyer, every judge, every whistleblower has become a target in South Africa. Many of them have been murdered. Many of them have been murdered. Attorneys and accountants. Well, folks, some good news. It's not all bad news for South Africa. Here's some really good news. If you'd like a really good deal, far better deal than I get, for the $327 a month that I pay for my internet, you can get it for much cheaper than that. Hey, thank you, Hermanos. Appreciate that. 140 Rand super sticker. You can get 1 gigabyte per second uncapped fiber for just 120 Rand a month. Now that is a steal. From FiberTime. FiberTime founder Alan Knott Craig said that the fiber network operator has tested a 1 gigabyte broadband in Alexandria, which is available for 5 Rand per day for 120 Rand. It's great, folks. That fiber will be fantastic until tomorrow when thieves in Alexandria steal the fiber. Sorry. Thank you, Sharon, for the 35 Rand. Tomorrow when thieves steal the fiber in Alexandria, you'll no longer get the 1 gigabyte for 120 Rand a month. It should be noted the 5 Rand per day and 120 per month prices are for a single user and are restricted to one connected device. Well, I'll tell you that. I'll pay that for every device I have. I mean, folks, that's crazy. 120 Rand? 120 Rand? I'll take that anyway, any day. That would be a total of $7 a month, and I pay $327. I pay $320 a month more for the same service you can get in Alexandria, South Africa. 1 gigabyte upload speed or download speed. Oh my goodness. Wow. They have now passed 400,000 households in their fiber to home connectivity. Yep. Here's a screenshot from a test of the network. 1 gigabyte per second. Upload is 560 megabytes. That's pretty fast. That's pretty fast. Well, they offer Khan's Uber service. Hi, big fan, and thank you so much. Thank you, Soccer Boy. Appreciate it. What's with all these little super chats? Thank you. Adrian, 350 Rand. It must be payday for somebody. Thank you so much for that, guys. Super stickers are coming in left and right. Thank you so much. Afrikaans Uber launches a 99 Rand per month subscription service. The Wanatu, the ride-hailing service Wanatu, has launched a subscription service for 2 plans. Wanatu Now for 99 Rand a month and Wanatu Premium for 199. Both subscription plans offer discounts, the ability to select a specific driver, reduce wait times, and the ability to set additional stops during the ride. It includes access to a loyalty program they said was coming soon, details of which would soon be confirmed. Wow. That's interesting. Wanatu Systems Logistics Manager Gustav Grotius said the purpose of the upgrade was to refine the user experience and adapt the app to customers' demands. Interesting. Launched in November 2024, they have amassed a substantial following among Afrikaans speakers within its operating areas in Pretoria and Centurion. I'll keep that in mind, and maybe I'll rely on them next time I'm there. Snippets, thank you for 35 Rand. Yeah, maybe I'll get that next time I'm there. Turning our attention to Botswana, Famous Brands, a South African food service corporation, is taking a big hit from Botswana, where the economy is in the doldrums. Reliance on the country's economy on the precious diamonds that have made it vulnerable to global ups and downs is causing the problem. That looks like Game City right there, the Wimpy and Game City in Gaborone. The downturn in Botswana's diamond industry has emerged as a major concern for restaurant groups Famous Brands, which says the slowdown has crimped revenue for one of its most important markets outside South Africa. In its latest annual report, the Joburg-listed food services group highlighted Botswana as a key area of underperformance. Famous Brands operates its largest network of company-owned restaurants outside South Africa in Botswana. 51 restaurants, strategically important to its regional operations. But its heavy dependence on diamonds has exposed the country to a dwindling economy. Famous Brands, which owns brands such as Mythos and Wimpy, said reliance on diamonds has left the economy vulnerable to fluctuations in global demand. So growth is slowing down in neighboring Botswana, unfortunately for them. Sudan fears of atrocities as the regional support forces surround a key city. The UN and several countries warn of imminent mass atrocities in El Obeid as RSF troops deploy around the city. Strategic importance is a crossroads between central Sudan, Khartoum, and Darfur. Human rights groups call for sanctions against RSF leadership and United Arab Emirates for fueling the conflict. Rapid support forces are deployed around the city, and things are looking pretty grim in that part of Sudan. A new maritime task force is putting the Gulf of Guinea unity to the test. Several West African nations have joined together, including those Nigerians wearing those bizarre yellow Navy uniforms. Yep, celebrating their 7th anniversary as Nigerian Navy. So Cote d'Ivoire, Gambia, Ghana, Liberia, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone have formed the Combined Maritime Task Force. It's a bold initiative to patrol that bite of West Africa, the bite of Africa. What's interesting here, folks, is that this grouping is largely the consequence of U.S. efforts over the past 15 years to encourage and foster this cooperation between these countries. I participated in this in the Africa Partnership training that took place. Well, Senegal scored a 5-0 win over a 10-man Iraq to keep their World Cup hopes alive. They currently hold a 5th best record for third-place teams based on their 2+ goal differential. Those 5 goals made a difference. So Pape Gueye scored 2 sensational second-half goals from long range, giving Senegal a thumping 5-0 win over Iraq and a much-needed goal differential boost in their bid to qualify for the round of 32. Iraq were hapless and down to 10 men in their final Group I match at Toronto Stadium. They currently hold the 5th best record of third-place sides, but 4 of the teams beneath them have yet to play their final group matches. Iraq lost all 3 of their group stage games and were eliminated for their first World Cup since 1986. Burkina Faso has broken diplomatic ties with France. The illegitimate military junta accused France of blatant neo-colonial ambitions and active support of subversive networks and terrorists without providing any evidence. In Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso's military government severed diplomatic ties with France. The junta said in a statement yesterday that it broke relations with France effective immediately, accusing it of blatant neo-colonial ambitions and active support for subversive networks and terrorists. Well, that's a mouthful from the very people who overthrew the legitimate democratic government of Burkina Faso. Don't really listen to military dictatorships. They don't really hold much weight with me. Well, congratulations to Cape Verde. Cape Verde has done it. They have managed to take second place despite failing repeatedly with open nets, open goals to score last night. Cape Verde managed to get a 0-0 draw and go through the group stage with no defeats, no victories, 3 draws against Spain 0-0, against Uruguay 2-2, and last night they finished 0-0 against Saudi Arabia. But their fans are celebrating the improbable run, and Cape Verde is all the toast of the World Cup. All the naysayers that said all this nonsense about America and hosting a World Cup have all been proven wrong, as this World Cup has been a sizzling event. Cape Verdeans were ecstatic when their team qualified for the World Cup. Their joy has now been supercharged by what seemed unthinkable, a spot in the knockout round. As Argentina's captain Lionel Messi attempts to win the tournament for the second consecutive time, he's racing to assemble a gigantic statue of all people. A sculptor's racing to make a statue in the Patagonian desert. So, upcoming games: New Zealand versus Belgium. That was on Friday. Today, it's Panama versus England, Croatia versus Ghana. Let's see how they do. Cape Verde fans embrace the possible. Look at all these people supporting Cape Verde. The Cinderella story of this World Cup. But now they'll face reigning champion Argentina in the knockout round. So that dream is likely to come to an end very soon, unfortunately. But look at all these Cape Verde fans. So excited in Houston. And they're back in Massachusetts. Lots of Cape Verdeans live in America. I'm not really sure why. No stress. Cape Verde. Why are all these people obese? What's up with that? So, Cape Verde. They've qualified for the World Cup round of 32, setting up a date with Argentina. Their third draw gave them a second place finish in Group F with 3 points, and they advance. They had multiple chances to score last night, and unfortunately they didn't. Cape Verde advanced to elimination round and World Cup debut. Something else. Something else. Smallest nation to ever go beyond the preliminary group stage. At least one Cinderella story continues beyond the World Cup's group stage. Cape Verde secured a spot in the knockout round of 32 teams with a 0-0 draw with Saudi Arabia and Spain's 1-0 win over Uruguay. Saudi Arabia needed a win to stay alive, and they did not. Thank you, Butterfly Refugee. Thank you for that. Well, a tanker struck in the Strait of Hormuz as Iran-U.S. trade attacks in the worst escalation since the peace deal was announced. A tanker reportedly being struck by a projectile in the Strait of Hormuz today, Britain's maritime security agency said, after the U.S. and Iran each launched strikes in the worst escalation since they signed an interim peace deal. The warring sides each accused the other of violating the agreement reached 2 weeks ago to end the 4-month-old conflict. Saturday's attack on a tanker in the Strait followed another on a cargo ship on Thursday that triggered the latest escalation. Iran has no interest in peace. They must be bombed into the Stone Age. Hezbollah rejects the Israel-Lebanon peace deal. Hezbollah is the problem. Lebanon should turn on Hezbollah. Hezbollah chief Naim Qassem has rejected an Israel-Lebanon framework agreement signed in the U.S., saying it should be replaced by the Iran-U.S. Memorandum of Understanding. Iran has condemned airstrikes by the United States on its missile, drone, and radar facilities, adding the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has responded by targeting U.S. military locations in the region. Enough. It's time to put these people out of our misery. China has purged another 6 military deputies. The People's Liberation Army, being a senior officer, is not something you want to be. Look at all these officers walking around with a chest full of ribbons. They've never even been at war. Wow. The removals add to Chinese leader Xi Jinping's years-long military purge as Beijing continues reshaping military leadership. The Chinese Communist Party has removed 6 senior military representatives from the country's rubber-stamped legislature. the latest sign that the leader's year-long campaign to reshape the Liberation Army continues to reach its highest ranks. Those removed include Wang Kangping from the PLA's Eastern Theater Command, Zhu Zhuang from the Central Military Commission's Equipment Development Department, Li Fengbao from the PLA's Western Theater Command, Yin Shongxing from the PLA Army, Gu Puxo from the PLA's Air Force, and Zhang Minghua from the PLA's Cyberspace Force. Wow. He just keeps taking them out. Well, the purge of senior Chinese leaders will make them vulnerable, much like the Soviets executing 70,000 senior officers in the Red Army in 1936. The same thing will happen to the Chinese. If they go to conflict, they won't have the leaders they need. Well, German highways are buckling under extreme heat, but I'm laughing at extreme heat. This isn't extreme heat. These people don't know what extreme heat is. 120 degrees is extreme heat. 95 is not extreme heat. Authorities in Germany reported damage to highways and train cancellations today as a heat wave that begged Western European countries moves to central and eastern parts of the continent. Temperatures in Germany expected 40 degrees Celsius. That's 104 Fahrenheit. Even in the country's famous highway, the Autobahn, was overwhelmed. 2 places outside Berlin, the concrete of the A2 burst due to the high temperatures, and the highway had to be closed. Deutsche Bahn and other rail companies advise against non-essential travel. Dozens of restaurants in Dormagen were removed from a nursing home for medical care due to dangerous heat conditions. The local fire department reported the temperatures inside the home had reached 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Air conditioning, of course, is not widespread in Germany. Well, and they wouldn't be able to support anyway because of their aversion to nuclear power. They don't have enough power to power those things. Thank you, work people, for the super. What's with all these little tiny super series today? Yeah, 40 degrees Celsius is not fun, but it's also not extreme heat. 120, 50 degrees is extreme heat. The situation in Venezuela after the earthquakes is horrific. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says the situation in Venezuela following 2 catastrophic quakes is horrific, and Canada will look to expand humanitarian support for the region. The rare double earthquakes struck northern Venezuela 39 seconds apart on Wednesday. Canada will provide $5 million humanitarian aid. The U.S., of course, is spending much more there helping out Venezuela. What's with the sad face there, Bia? You're giving more super sticker, and this time you gave a sad face. Why? You give him a bunch of 10 rands, now you give him 20. What's with that? Well, the crucial window for rescuing survivors is narrowing. Look at that. Residents rescue workers searched the rubble 2 days after an earthquake struck LaGuardia. That entire block of buildings just collapsed like a cake, like a layer cake. That is horrible. That is horrible. These buildings obviously were not earthquake-proof. The situation has grown more desperate by the hour in Venezuela as people dig through the rubble of collapsed homes and apartment buildings 3 days after the devastating 1-2 punch. Authorities announced last night they would block access to LaGuardia, the epicenter of the destruction, as chaos and traffic were hampering search efforts. More than 51,000 people are missing. 920 are dead. Good Lord. 920 dead. As the days pass and bodies begin to decompose, this will become a more gruesome task. Number of injuries now at 3,300. Only 243 people have been rescued. 51,000 people missing. 920 dead. Good Lord. Well, the leftist media are fond of attacking America over its visa constraints for the FIFA World Cup, but they haven't talked about Canada, which has rejected nearly 50% of all of the visitor visas to come to the World Cup. Ooh, that's a lot more. The U.S. has rejected a handful, but Canada has rejected nearly half of the 17,000 applications. Canada's immigration department accepted only 41% of the 16,985 World Cup visitor visa applications. So over 50% were denied. Wow. According to data from Immigration, Refugees, and Statistics Canada, people from more than 160 countries submit applications to come to Canada and view the contest. And that started in November last year through March of this year. And they rejected over half. Of the 27 countries, a total of 27 countries like Afghanistan, Liberia, Uganda, Syria, Sudan, Yemen, Libya, and Belarus had all of their applications rejected. Additionally, 94% of Haitians were rejected, 91% of Pakistani and Kenyan, 90% of Iranian, 71% of Indian applications. By contrast, Canada accepted 100% of Germany, France, Italy, and Switzerland. Also, Australia, New Zealand, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Bolivia had all their applications. Of course, Saudi Arabia is the home of many terrorists, and yet they accepted 100% of their applications. Sounds to me like Canada's racist. Sounds like Canada's racist. President Trump is threatening a 100% tariff on any country that imposes a digital service tax on American companies. It would be immediate. President Trump said yesterday that countries imposing digital service tax on U.S. firms would face a 100% tariff. In a Truth Social post, the president stated the levies would supersede any agreement signed or not between the U.S. and trade partners. Numerous European countries have been discussing the imminent implementation of a digital services tax on American companies. Some of these countries are close to actually doing this. These are levies imposed on large U.S. tech firms like Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, for example, by almost 20 nations. Last year, Trump abruptly ended talks with Canada over its digital tax, prompting Ottawa to rescind the 3% levy. In an interview in the New York Post, Trump said France needs to ditch its 3% sales tax or face a 100% import duty on wines and champagne. He said, I asked Macron not to charge American companies, and if they do, I have no choice but to charge 100% tariff on all champagnes and all wines coming out of France. The UK also abandoned its digital levy, which was going to be 2%. And it shows you that Trump's negotiating position is solid. So, it's just wrong. Let me just tell you, this is the title of this Guardian article. Thank you, Bia, for 60 Rand. Now she's happy. She's giving 60 Rand. Thank you. Let me just tell you, the title of this is correct. It's just so wrong. Chaos Juggler, membership for 19 months, but Toon Leader level 2. That's awesome. There it is. Thank you, Chaos Juggler. So it is wrong. But what's wrong is that the leftist drill or bilge coming out of this article. Let me read this to you. After outrageous insults from Donald Trump, Haitians have revived Springfield. Now their future is uncertain. Let me explain something to you, folks. Temporary protected status is for people to temporarily come to America. For instance, Venezuelans after an earthquake. Thank you, Vilma. For Venezuelans to come to America after an earthquake for a few months or a year or two while things are restored to normal. That is temporary protected status. If there is an attack by an insurgent force into a capital and people have to flee, we give them temporary protected status for a couple of years. It is not a path of immigration. However, it's been abused as a path of immigration. And listen to the arguments from these leftists. It's just so wrong. Haitians in Ohio reel from Supreme Court temporary protected status ruling. The description of what it is right there in the word. The embattled Haitian community in Springfield, Ohio is among many groups reeling this week after this week's ruling the Supreme Court that strips the legal immigration status from hundreds of thousands of Haitians living and working in the U.S., and it could be a threat to more than 1 million. The Springfield community in particular had worked hard to remain resilient beyond the outrageous besmirching by Trump during the 2024 election campaign and further insults about Haiti delivered after he became president. Now it has been rocked to its foundation by an existential fear because the court's rulings on Thursday favoring the Trump administration that critics denounced as advancing a white supremacist agenda. Just 2 weeks ago, many Haitians living in a small city between Dayton and Columbus were in buoyant mood, filled with hope, lifted by national sporting ambitions. About 35 people packed inside a small Kit restaurant to watch the national soccer team take on Scotland. All that changed within moments of the ruling on Thursday morning. That means that 350,000 Haitians and several thousand Syrians in the U.S. on temporary protected status could immediately find themselves targeted by immigration. Supreme Court voted 6-3 to pause prior rulings by courts in New York and Washington that temporarily stopped the Trump administration from ending TPS. It's hateful. It's wrong. They learned our language. They're learning our customs, and now we're telling them that they need to leave. Yes, because they're not immigrants. Immigration advocates fear the Trump administration wants to end TPS for almost all remaining countries on a shrinking list, regardless of how much danger they would be in. Well, it's temporary. 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 That's what it's supposed to be. Temporary. This month, an ill 6-year-old U.S. citizen and her parents were kidnapped in Port-au-Prince. Yes, and yesterday in Arizona, 6 children were kidnapped. What's your point? What's your point? What a bunch of nonsense. So George Will is a treasonous bastard and has betrayed America. Thank you, Adrian. Soccer Boy, thank you for the 10 Rand. The Supreme Court errors in immigration ruling, says George Will, a so-called fake conservative. Thank you, Soccer Boy. The justice got it wrong on temporary protected status. No, they didn't. The pungent odor of Kristi Noem lingers in Washington. What an insulting piece of slime George Will is. A 1990 statute allows the Department of Homeland Security Secretary to grant temporary protected status to shield aliens in America from having to return to nations afflicted by natural disasters, wars, or persecuting regimes. When the Trump administration moved to end TPS for more than 350,000 Haitians, 6,100 Syrians, 5 of the former and 7 of the latter sued, charging that procedural requirements had not been followed. The court ruled 6-3 in favor of the Trump administration. Chaos Juggler, 140 Rand, thank you. George Will is arguing that these people are allowed to be here. They're not. It's temporary protected status. Utter nonsense. In this previous article, one of these people's been here since 1990 from Haiti. What the hell? 1990. Been here since 1990. This is ridiculous. Temporary since 1990? I don't think so. That's not temporary. All these people are going to have to run away or go somewhere, which I'm pretty sure is going to start tonight, said Frankie Pierre from Jeremy in Southwest Haiti, who came to the U.S. on a boat with his family in 1992, fleeing Jean-Bertrand Aristide. Yet millions of people have lived safely in Haiti since 1992, 34 years ago. Temporary protected status. Get the hell out. That's ridiculous. You're not facing any threats. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's not immigration. People are making the argument about this is not immigration. Temporary protected status is not immigration. If you've immigrated here, that's one thing, legally. But temporary protected status is being abused and allowing people to stay here. And the argument is they're contributing to communities. It doesn't matter. They're not supposed to be here. Newsom urges a national billionaires tax. This clown, Gavin Newsom, wants to tax billionaires. Governor Gavin Newsom, a demon rat who is considered a run for president, approaches the end of his term, calls for a national billionaires tax, trying to take advantage of the surge in democratic socialists. He announced his agenda day after an influential healthcare union in California pledged to go forward with a ballot measure that would impose a one-time 5% tax on the assets of billionaires living in the state as of January 1st, 2026. So he wants to drive billionaires out. These people are just so evil. It's not their money. Unfortunately, the Daughters of the American Revolution has been infiltrated by leftists. Thank you, Bia. Thank you for upgrading to platoon leader. No, that's terrible. Daughters of the American Revolution defeats a proposal to block transgender members. The Daughters of the American Revolution beat back a membership uprising over transgender membership, rejecting a resolution that would have barred male-born candidates from being admitted to the venerable Women's Patriotic Organization. Well, I'm not allowed to join the Daughters of the American Revolution because I'm not a woman. Genuine or pretend, I'm a male. Therefore, I'm not allowed to join it. Only females are allowed to join it, descendants of those who aided the American Revolution. But the woke leftists that have infiltrated and taken over this organization are shameful. They defeated the revolution, which would have clarified the applicants must be born female to be eligible. Introduced by a cohort of members known as Daughters Advocating for Restoration, the proposal lost by a vote of 1,481 to 984. Today, the Daughters of the American Revolution, whose motto is God, Home, and Country, voted to reject a resolution that seeks to define the word woman in international bylaws. While admitting men with amended birth certificates is still a violation of their bylaws, I do believe that the will of the Assembly was heard today. We don't know what the future holds or what God's plan is, but we do know He has a plan and we trust Him. Membership is limited to women 18 and older descended from an ancestor who aided the American Revolution. But the President General in 2023 said that transgender women are eligible under the group's non-discrimination policy. Apparently, 5 male-to-female transgender candidates have joined the DR chapters in recent years, spurring thousands of resignations and an eternal battle over whether daughters include biological males who identify as women. Well, this is the death of the Daughters Revolution, just the American Revolution, just like the Boy Scouts of America was destroyed by letting girls into it. But no one forced the Campfire Girls, the Brownies, or the Girl Scouts to accept boys. But the Boy Scouts had to accept girls. Why? Because the Girl Scouts, despite decades of existence, failed to produce something as prestigious as the Scout Merit Badge. Eagle Scouts. Sotomayor apologizes for her shameful conduct after criticizing Justice Kavanaugh. At a recent appearance at the University of Kansas School of Law, I referred to a disagreement with one of my colleagues in a prior case, but I made remarks that were inappropriate. I regret my hurtful comments. I have apologized to my colleague. Well, it's about time. She made the comments 3 months ago, and now she apologizes. That's half-hearted. This is a person who never should have been on the Supreme Court. Never. United States, the Great American State Fair delivers a Star-Spangled Showcase. There are some hiccups at the Great American State Fair on the mall. Coast-to-coast showcase of the nation's unique cultures and traditions as the United States is days away from celebrating the 250th anniversary. Whether it was bouquets of chilies hanging inside New Mexico's exhibit, or a talking hologram of Abraham Lincoln greeting guests in Illinois Pavilion, each state shared cherished parts of its character. Yep. So, they've got the mock-up of Trump's triumphal arch that's going to be put up. But there have been problems. People like maps, so I want a map here because I want them to visualize, said Ohio Governor Mike DeWine during a brief break. What we see is people walking up here and they say, okay, my grandfather was born here, or we lived here for a period of time, you know. Mr. DeWine said he and his wife Fran helped design the Buckeye States Pavilion, which also featured its work with Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, a program that mails every enrolled child one free book per month until the child's 5th birthday, as well as photos from across Ohio, such as Tom's Ice Cream Bowl in Zanesville. Arizona's display was so popular, the line formed outside its pavilion that Times unable to wait to get inside. But apparently it's very popular. Mississippi noted that its exhibit that it was the birthplace of the late Margaritaville singer Jimmy Buffett, while Florida's nearby pavilion said that Buffett's music turned the Florida Keys lifestyle into a global phenomenon. Yep, so the Great American Fair is taking place in D.C. I haven't thought about going there yet. 10 states didn't participate. Chaos Jugger, 140 Rand, thank you for that. Appreciate that. President Trump has shared images of the new passport that will go to 25 or 30,000 Americans celebrating the 250th anniversary of the country. Limited edition passports for a July rollout celebrate the 250th anniversary. President Trump yesterday shared his social media rendering of what he said the new U.S. passport design looks like. These passports will feature customized artwork and enhanced imagery while maintaining the same security features that make the U.S. passport the most secure documents in the world. Patriot Passport Unlocked. Limited edition stamp for America 250. Only 25 to 30,000 of them will go out. Well, the North Carolina governor blasted a mistaken use of an image at the Great American State Fair. The governor blasted the Confederate flag, which is not a Confederate flag. It's the battle flag of the Army of Northern Virginia, the Stars and Bars. Let's get that correct. North Carolina Governor Josh Stein's office condemned a display at the Great American State Fair, which included altered versions of the state's flag featuring the Confederates' Southern Cross. Controversy erupted after journalist Reuben Jones posted footage from the North Carolina exhibit featuring two versions of the state flag with a Confederate battle flag superimposed over the design. And that's what it was. This display does not reflect North Carolina that we love. America 250 is about unity and bringing our nation together. Glorifying this divisive Confederate symbol does the exact opposite. We demand the organizers stop dishonoring the flag of North Carolina. Well, the governor is correct. North Carolina never had the Stars and Bars as part of their flag, so that is correct. But it's free speech, so don't denigrate the battle flag of the Army of Northern Virginia. So, you know, he's right, but he's wrong. Yep. So, anyway, that's done with. United States has captured one of the Somali fraudsters, and guess where he was? In dangerous, unsafe Somalia. That's where he fled to. One of the orchestrators of the Feeding Our Future scam, the fraud that stole $250 million of pandemic food assistance in Minnesota, has been captured in Somalia. The arrest of Abdir Karim Abdullah Adel underscored the connection between the scam and the Somali immigration community, which was at the center of the fraud. Prosecutors said the FBI tracked him to Mogadishu, where he was taken into custody Thursday, 4 years after he was first charged in the U.S. His capture shows that if you commit fraud against the American taxpayer and try hiding across the globe, the long arm of justice will find you, said Daniel Rosen, U.S. Attorney in Minnesota. The 42-year-old was part of an initial indictment in September of 2022, led by this shameful white woman who defrauded Americans of $250 million, along with Somalis. Thank you, Bia, for another 20 Rand. Well, the Iran-Egypt game in Seattle ran into a pride demonstration. Oh, my goodness. Look at the honker on that lady. FIFA refused to restrict rainbow flags and symbols from the match despite both nations protesting. More than 200 countries compete in FIFA, but when Seattle decided to turn the World Cup group finale into an unofficial pride match, the soccer gods deliver the ultimate punchline: Iran versus Egypt. By the time we arrived hours before kickoff, downtown was already filling fans draped with the Egyptian Iranian rainbow flags and rainbow flags. Yes. Of all the countries that could have landed this slot, the tournament draw delivered two federations you absolutely would not expect to headline a match during Pride weekend. Oh, Pride night meets the World Cup. Walking the concourses. So you're not allowed to use political flags at the event, but that is a political flag. The bisexual and homosexual flag is a political flag and should not be at the game. The Islamic Republic killed 40,000 Iranians in 2 days. Thousands were blinded. No game can hide this brutality. True. Lots of Pride fans, though, in the crowd. An Iranian woman says she knows more gay Iranians than she knows straight Iranians. Where does she hang out? Gay nightclubs? I mean, how do you know so many gay Iranians? Customs and Border Patrol has seized over 8,000 pounds of methamphetamine at the border in the Laredo sector. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol exclusively told the Epic Times on Friday that its officers at the Laredo sector intercepted more than $72 million worth of methamphetamine in separate encounters on the same day. My goodness. 7,050 pounds of methamphetamine at one of the captures. These large-scale cargo methamphetamine seizures, both taken the same day at different ports of entry within the Laredo field office, underscore the serious drug threat our officers are facing, as well as a resolve to stem the flow of poison into the U.S. That's crazy. Thank you, Chaos Juggler, for 70 Rand. Appreciate that. Yeah. Wow. This must never happen again. You rating crybaby coach? The host was so mean to us. So mean. Iranian coach cries about his treatment in the FIFA World Cup, protesting to the president of FIFA, Infantino, complaining about how Iran was treated. They were treated with dignity and fairly, unlike the 40,000 people murdered by the Iranian regime earlier this year. This must never happen again. Iran's head coach Amir Galinoy said FIFA's president Gianni Infantino must stand up to the U.S. after reiterating his belief that the co-hosts have treated his team very unfairly. Now, your team sucks, and they're out as they belong. Out. So, bye-bye. Bye-bye. So long. Don't let the door hit you in the bum on the way out. Crybabies. Well, when did it get so expensive to have fun in the summertime? Well, summer's become brutally expensive. World Cup matches, concert tickets, live entertainment is testing household budgets. Fans are dipping into savings and taking on debt, while the industry finds new ways to cash in and fleece us of money. Andrea Rojas and Carlos Ramon saved for more than a year for their trip to see the World Cup, but the married Virginia couple weren't prepared for the bill. Nearly $10,000 to travel to see games in Boston, New Jersey, and Miami. That was more than double what they paid for a similar trip to the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. The tickets, $800 a piece on FIFA's official resale site before the team schedules were announced. Forget trying to see their favorite squads. Game day parking, $175 at Gillette Stadium outside Boston and $150 outside Miami. Car rental, hotel, $98 commuter train tickets in New York, and airfare further drove up their bill. If she and her husband weren't such big fans, I would boycott FIFA because of what they're doing. It's basically turning into a Super Bowl for people who have the means or are willing to get into crazy debt. But so it goes in the modern era of high-end live entertainment, where people are willing to spend vast pools of money to go into debt to attend once-in-a-lifetime events. From the World Cup to the NBA Finals to concerts by chart-topping artists such as Olivia Rodrigo and Harry Styles, to boomer-friendly megatours by Rush and AC/DC, there seems to be no limit to what people are willing to pay. Look at this, all these Argentinian fans. Worth every penny, said Kenzie Doctor, an Edinburgh gym worker who withdrew 3,000 pounds from a government savings program to offset the nearly 9,000 it cost him to see Scotland play in the World Cup. When you had the national anthem at the game, it was so sentimental there were tears running down my face. Resale tickets on SeatGeek for World Cup matches have averaged $1,084 each, with later round matches going for more. Tickets to the NBA Finals between the Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs reached $4,100, while seats at Madison Square Garden were going for as much as $9,000. Jeez. Knicks owner Madison Square Garden Sports stock is up 88% over last year, while shares of Ticketmaster and Parrot Live Nation are up more than 20%. Those who are flush have no problem shelling out. For the working middle classes, changing economic realities such as stubbornly high mortgage rates have led to new calculus. It's just too expensive, folks. Who can afford this crap? This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Bad Bunny. Well, that's the last thing I'm going to watch is a Bad Bunny concert. That guy sucks. I listened to him at the Super Bowl. He's pathetic. It is a complete waste of money. I don't know what video you're talking about. Nothing's blocked on my channel. Hermanus, thank you for the 70 rand. That's the news. I do have some stuff to talk about, but that's the news for today. Be sure to hit the like button on this Saturday. Appreciate you guys being here. And thank you, Super Chat Reverend. Lots of little Super Chats are piling up, though. Thank you. Going into debt for entertainment is plain stupidity. I agree. Look, I've spent a lot of money on going to sporting events, but not that kind of money. But I saved the money over a period of years. Like for the World Cup, I saved money. Saving money now for next year's World Cup. Was in Spar earlier this afternoon, and the first thing the woman said was, "Can you speak Afrikaans?" When I said no, she looked at me and said, "I lie." I went to mansion and said, "Oh, sorry to hear. I'm in kid." What? That's funny. I heard of Bad Bunny in the States, but never in South Africa. Bug her off, Bunny. Hey, Brian Lawrenson. Rather spend the money and go to Willie Nelson concert. Well, the Willie Nelson concerts aren't cheap. I went to the Outlaws tour in Hershey a few years ago. Those tickets weren't cheap. I forget what I paid for it. Edward Hawkey, I don't know what happened and why you can't comment and which video you're referring to. I haven't blocked anything. So you talking about the June 30th one? I had some editing problems with that. My phone malfunctioned while I was recording it. It kind of sucked. So I'll be doing another June 30th video coming up here shortly after this broadcast. Gay Iranians flee around, move to the most pro-gay areas. People who live in those most pro-gay areas, all Iranians I know are gay. Shocking how that works. That's funny. Well, I heard about the letters in Islam. Peeps bumped heads before. Not pretty. Yep. So I must start worrying about Pala Pala if they can get someone in Somalia. Exactly. Hermana said, "You're amazing. Thank you." The link I sent above tells all white South Africans they must leave. Well, you weren't able to send a link, Leonard Bornman, because you're not a moderator or a content creator. Thank you, Bia for another 10. What's going on with Bia? He fled to Somalia where he probably sent all the money. You keep doing that, but your card's probably going to get blocked. They're going to think it's illegal activity. My friend and his girlfriend were in an accident when a minibus came through a red light. Instead of helping them, they were robbed while they were lay there dying. Jeez. Yep. David Stratford. Who's that, Alan? Chaos Juggler, thank you for the 140 Rand. Hoppity says, "I am sorry. Yes, I only do hit me over the head with a..." What? Sedgefield, so when you fear being robbed after an accident, then being in an accident, you realize too late, this can't carry on. Yep. Karen says, "Sometimes I forget and stick my hand under the coal tap only to get burned as the copper pipes from the summer all day." Ouch, that sucks. Soccer Boy, thank you for your membership. I didn't see his membership coming up there. Apologize for that. And Sally, thank you for the 70 Rand. I almost missed that one, going back over these. Assume temporary protected status means they can't apply for a green card. Correct. You can't apply. It's temporary status. You're supposed to leave the country. And BAB upgraded to platoon leader. Thank you for that. Debbie Ackerman, thank you for the 10 Rand 49. Sorry, only hit me. Okay. Chaos Juggler with another 140 Rand. Yes, Haiti is run by gangs, but so is South Africa, Hoppity. South Africa's run by gangs too. Adrian, thank you for upgrading your membership platoon leader. Appreciate that. Exactly. Why come to America after natural disaster? Why don't you fix your country? Exactly right. Yep. No, temporary protected status has been misused to allow people to stay in this country for decades. And then the argument is they're immigrants. They're not immigrants. They're temporary protected status, which allowed them to come to the country. They shouldn't be here into perpetuity. That's not right. Vilma, thank you for your membership, 20 months. Chaos Juggler, 19 months. And B with that 60 Rand, thank you for that. Soccer Boy, 10 Rand 49. So what's going on? Are we getting more subscribers today? Let me see what's going on. Or just people just, it must be payday for some folks. Nope, nothing happened there. All right, that takes me as far back as I can go in the chat. Let's see what I missed down here. Son started playing at 70, bugged my wife and I to take him to a club and play. If we didn't take him, then, Ons mot niet Ramaphosa, says we're Captain Kev. Okay. Outlaw Festival tickets start at 78. There you go. See, that's too much. That's too much. It's too much. Willie Nelson's got plenty of money, even after paying his debt to the IRS. Karen's laughing about something. Was it my reading of Afrikaans? Oh, you were joking about how terrible you are with sarcasm. Yes, you are terrible. I don't understand what you're saying. Oh, Bia says, Chris Wyatt, my internet crush. I will pay him just to say half my name. Bia. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, Peter. Yeah, hit the like button, folks. 400 people currently here, 334 likes. All right, let me talk about something that's very disturbing if you're an American. And this goes the world over. It's not just unique to Americans. But, okay, let me put this in perspective here, okay? So, 46% of Americans have no retirement savings. 46% of Americans hold zero retirement savings, and only 53% of private industry workers participate in any employer-sponsored plan. Average 401k1, that's a employer-sponsored plan, balances like $267,900 for baby boomers, exclude half the workers with no account at all. The personal savings rate fell 3.7% in the first quarter of this year, while 37% of workers have already rated their retirement accounts early. Are you ahead or behind on retirement? Well, that's a good question. This is by David Barron. The phrase average retirement savings hides the fact that in American household finance, a huge share of adults have nothing saved at all. According to the latest Federal Reserve survey of consumer finances, 46% of Americans have no retirement savings, and 43% of working age adults have a balance in their 401k or IRA or defined benefit plan. That gap matters because it makes the typical balance a poor benchmark on its own. The Federal Reserve survey includes everyone, not just people with employer plans. That means renters, gig workers, and adults outside the retirement system show up in the numbers too. A separate 2024 survey by AARP, American Association for Retired Persons, found that 20% of Americans aged 50 and older have no retirement savings, and 61% of that group worry they will not have enough money to last through retirement. Wow, that's crazy. The standard benchmark numbers only describe the households that are actually saving. Fidelity's quarter 3 analysis of 26,000 corporate defined contribution plans covering 24.8 million participants reported the average balance of $267,900 for baby boomers, $217,000 for Gen X, and $80,000 for millennials, and $17,000 for Gen Z. Now that makes sense for those generations going back. Those who've had longer to amass wealth should have a larger pie, but $17,000 is not very much for Gen Z. That should be larger. So, why many Americans ages 55 to 64 lack sufficient savings for retirement. About 4 in 10 Americans ages 55 to 64 have no retirement accounts, presumably hoping Social Security will help them, but it's not enough money. Just 57% of Americans aged 55 to 64 have retirement accounts, meaning 43% have no dedicated retirement savings. Among those retirement accounts, the median balance is $185,000, an amount that will fall short of retirement expenses. Retirement readiness varies widely, with outcomes shaped by income, access to work plans, and how long you've been able to save. Many Americans nearing retirement age may not be financially prepared for it. Here are the groups. 18 to 34-year-olds, 49% have got retirement savings. That's pretty good. 35 to 44, 61%. 45 to 54, 62%. But then it goes down. Those over 75, 42% have retirement savings. Most don't. Households in their mid-50s to mid-60s are typically in their peak earning years when income and net worth are often at their highest. Among Americans aged 55 to 64 who have retirement accounts, the median balance is $185,000. And for those 65 to 75, it's $200,000. Over 75 is down $130,000, which makes sense. Those over 75 are drawing down their savings. While retirement savings tend to increase with age, higher balances don't necessarily translate into greater financial security. So retirement, people aren't saving for retirement. I've talked about this for 40 plus years that people don't save for retirement. It's a disaster. Really wish I could afford to support your channel, but I'm a arm guy. Hey, Irk Shirk Afrikaner's rapper. It's fine. You are supporting my channel by being a subscriber and watching my content. Everyone who comments in the chat, everyone who posts a reasonable comment on a video, everyone who watches the stream, all of that helps the channel, and I thank you for that. And the more people are subscribed, the more people aware of this. I'm still stunned that Ronaldo has 230,000 subscribers. I only have 127,000 when we have similar audiences. Where are those 100,000 people that subscribe to Ronaldo's channel that don't come to my channel? It's a little frustrating. Anyway, you met Willie Nelson. Okay, cool. Loretta, that's interesting. I don't know whether it's going to be, Red John. I was expecting it to be on Flow Rugby, but it hasn't been posted yet. So let me look and see. All the Barbarians, who won today? Schedule. I need July. Only one game is listed for July. Nothing. So I don't know what's going on with that. So Barbarians, Wales. Wales won 33-31. Wow. I picked the Barbarians to win that game. Steve Tandy's side win. Sweltering sunshine with temperatures in the Allianz Stadium reaching 32 degrees. Wales scored 5 tries through fly half Dan Edwards, 2 scrum half Kieran Hardy and Reuben Morgan, as well as wing Ellis Mee. 33-31. It's close. Vincent Koch, Alex Nankivel, and Santiago Arata scored for the Barbarians. It was a pretty empty stadium, only a quarter full. Almost nobody was at the stadium. Take a look at the picture. That's pretty embarrassing. That's pretty embarrassing. The top 2 tiers are closed with a sparse crowd of under 20,000, 82,000 capacity stadium. And the first half Mexican wave indicated supporters were not fully engaged. True. True. Anyway, shame. Shame, 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 shame. Anyway. Yep, so that's what happened. Barbarians. Tuning in for the first time. Very excited to be supporting great and philanthropic. Thank you very much, Michael Picara. Thank you so much for that. Mikhail Picara. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, that does help. It helps defray the cost. Yep, I've got lots of bills. So, yep. Even Snoop says that he can't keep up Willie Nelson when it comes to smoking weed. Hey, Soccer Boy, thank you for the 7 rand. Where is the Scream Bunny? What do you mean, Sharon? What do you mean? State witnesses, can you imagine those top cops using toilet paper? Somebody's out catching socks, huh? Russ the Monkey said, I have to admit, your interview earlier today with that couple was amazing. I loved it. Granny was fun to watch. Are you talking about the interview from yesterday? Citizen Vigilante is worth your time. Yeah, I didn't even know about this movie, but apparently it's free on X. How is that possible? Does he own the movie? Does Elon Musk own the movie? Just curious. Yeah, I don't know where, Red John, to watch that game. I'm waiting to see. There aren't 25 million illegal aliens in South Africa. There's no way it's that high. What would a good plan be to have enough to retire in the U.S.? What is enough, knowing the variables? Well, Adrian, that's a difficult one. That's hard to say. It all depends on where you live. It all depends on your lifestyle. And it all depends on your nest egg. So if you have a nest egg of $1 million, okay, $1 million, you should be able to survive pretty much anywhere. Because by the time you get to retirement, most people own their own home. They've paid it off. So if you own your own home, all you have to do is pay the taxes and insurance on it. So that's a few $1,000s a year, hopefully not too much, although mine's ridiculous. So other than that, and insurance and repairs for your car and, healthcare insurance, your expenses should be relatively low. So if you have $1 million a year and you have a portfolio that returns 6%, which is a reasonable return for something that has stocks and bonds in it, then you're going to get $60,000 a year of income spun off that. If it's coming out of a retirement account that's non-taxable, that's even better because you won't have paying taxes on it. So, if you have an 8% return, that's $80,000 a year. So, I mean, it just depends. $1 million is not very much anymore. It sounds like a lot of money, but it isn't. Not when a car costs $85,000, a house costs $500,000. $1 million is not that much money. It's not. It was a fortune when I was a kid, but not so much anymore because the inflation, the dollar's been so destroyed by the Federal Reserve Bank and the successive administrations and Congresses burying us in debt and devaluing our currency. So it's not that much money. It all depends. I mean, if you live in a trailer in West Virginia, your needs aren't very high. If you don't go to FIFA World Cups and spend $10,000, then your needs aren't very high. If all you do is, braai in your backyard or go to the local lake and go swimming or fishing, then your needs aren't very high. And then, they aren't very expensive and you can afford to live on a lower amount. I live rather frugally. I'm driving an 11-year-old, almost 12-year-old Chrysler with 128,000 miles on it. And I have a 2004 Toyota 4Runner, which has less than 100,000 miles on it. Those are my cars. My house is a middle-income house that's, they claim it's worth a lot more than it is, but it's not worth that much. I bought it new construction. It's not super, it's not amazing. I've seen much better houses in South Africa and around America, but it's all right. And a safe neighborhood. And my big expenses are doing the journalism thing I do and traveling around to meet with people and do interviews and things like that. That includes the sports because I do the Rugby Ascendant brand. So when I go to rugby, that's also part of that. Yeah, so that's mine. But I mean, what I would love to do is just have the resources, just buy a caravan and just not worry about the price of petrol, not worry about the caravan, get in the caravan and head west. Go west. Stay in my caravan and see the country. Go back to Wisconsin, to the Great Lakes, to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Go across the country to the Badlands and go to Mount Rushmore and Devil's Tower and Grand Tetons and Yellowstone and, up into Montana and then Eastern Washington and then in Seattle and then the Redwoods in California, then the Grand Canyon coming back. I'd love to be able to do that with a caravan, but the caravans cost $250,000. I don't have that kind of money sitting around. So, it depends what you want to do. There are people who do that. There are people years ago when those things weren't so expensive would buy a caravan for less than $200,000. And there are mechanisms set up when there was, I don't know if they still exist, but back in the day when you relied on the postal service, they would have these places where you could forward your mail to the next place, would go there. And then you just change the address all the time. Your mail would always, or where it's being forwarded to. And then you would get your mail, your physical mail. So, it's, that would be cool. And I'd love to drive through Canada to Alaska in a caravan. I'd love to travel back down British Columbia and across Alberta and over to the Atlantic provinces in a caravan. Love to do that. Love to do that. That'd be so cool. Yep. But that takes a lot of resources. He retired with a pension A2 and by 2000 he couldn't fill a tank of gas. Yep. A Duiker Potki tomorrow. Well, thank you, Carl. My second. Duikers are kind of small. Do you get much out of them? They're tiny little creatures. Nowadays, you have to live minimal to be able to have a decent safety net. If you live above your means, you'll always be in debt. Exal kan done met een miljoen. Yeah, no, they keep vandalizing. Well, I don't know why we just don't put cameras out there and people out there to watch it. Makes sense. Collect as much of your own things before you retire. The better retirement you would have in the USA. If you own your own place, then nobody will take it. Yep. Sadly, the winners in the free market system end up paying for the losers to keep them content, stop them from going full commie. True, Peter. True. The think is too little too late. What's too little too late? Bucky's 43, Uruguay, nothing after that. Is that the under 20? I don't think the FBI is going to take action against Ramaphosa. 19 million views, huh? Well, I mean, it's on there, so he must have some stake in it. Otherwise, it'd be a copyright suit. Oh, the Super Brew. Oh, it's easy. Okay, I'll explain Super Brew. Let me just go to Super Brew, okay? So what you do with Super Brew is you join a group. It's just for fun, and you get points for picking the correct score and for picking the winner. So let me go to the caps and C's and see what I got here. I got 2 people that want to join, so let's go to that. Okay, so here's the Nations Cup Super Brew that I've set up, and we got 2 people that want to join. Where are they at? Okay, so we've got, what, 19 people in here, something like that now? So you got a winning point, a match point, and GSP and bonus point, and you get a total. All right, so don't fully understand all the scoring, how it works. I never have understood it. So manage pool, that's where I got to go. Manage. Okay, here we go. 2 invitations. So, okay, 19 members. You got 2 more people that are going to join now. Approve. Approved. Okay, and another one, approve. Okay, so now we got 21 people in the pool. So what you do is you go to the games. So to do, okay, picks. So here's the games. So what you do is, El Marie, is you'll go to the games. Okay, these are the games that qualify for this competition. New Zealand versus France. You hit the drop-down menu. Now you can look at the history of how these teams have played each other. There you go. Last 10 results, New Zealand's won 10. France has won 3. All have been at home. So you can look at the pool picks. Some people hide their picks, but these are other people. They're not hiding their picks. I don't hide my picks. And the pick stats. You may see this once you've picked. Okay, you have to lock your pick to see the stats. So I picked New Zealand by 7 points. You can go however you want there. And so you can lock it here. Okay, but I don't want to do that. So then Japan versus Italy. I picked Italy by 7 on the road in Japan. I picked Ireland on the road against Australia. And it tells you when you saved it. I saved them yesterday. So these are all the games. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in the first round. And there are 6 rounds through November. So it'll go through July, and then it picks up again in November. And 7 rounds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds. Yep, 7 rounds. Anyway, cool beans. So that's what Super Brew is. So it's just for fun. Family member of mine. Okay, I got that. Con de Bruin, Sender. I have an issue with where the strikes and arrests. We have no response from government, no response from 7% of the political parties. Any advice to keep our family safe? Yeah, Con de Bruin. Without knowing where you're at, my advice would be to not venture out on that day if you're able to. I mean, some people have to work, but if you don't have to venture out, don't venture out that day. Make sure you have things stockpiled. You have power banks charged, solar panels charged, or if you got those, water in your JoJo's. Make sure that if you have firearms, you have sufficient ammunition. If you have other things to protect yourself, have those. If you have body armor, have that handy. Do rehearsals with your family on how to put out fires. In case someone throws Molotov cocktails. Also, make sure you have plenty of food, and if you have a safe room to go to, and an escape route. Also, make sure your vehicles are topped off of petrol, and you have spare petrol somewhere where it's safe, that won't catch on fire, that it won't be stolen, so you can use it if you need it. If you've got a generator, be prepared to use it in case power lines are cut. Protect your generator and things like that. That's my advice without knowing your specific circumstances. Yeah, it was started by South Africans scared. I didn't know it's based in London now, though. Hey, Vanner. Cool Beans says most of us can't do anything like that. Well, actually, that's not true, Cool Beans. Most people can. Most South Africans I know have the ability to do things like that. Yep. Yeah, see, Henry's just said completely self-sufficient, locked and loaded. Yep. Yep. Super Brew. What else? So 70 Rand there. You can change your picks on Super Brew all the way up until kickoff. When kickoff happens, you can't change your picks. Now, if you lock it so that you can see that what other picks are, you can't change it. I never lock mine. That means, because sometimes you find out that a key player or a couple players are injured, and you're like, oh crap, just before the game. So I never lock mine, but you can change your Super Brew picks right up to the last minute. Yep. And I let people see what my picks are. I don't mind if people see my picks. So Super Brew is kind of fun. Yeah, I always do it for free. So. Can you please put up your Subaru link again? Oh, sure, Loretta, I'll do that. I'll get the invitation for Subaru. Hang on. Let me get the invitation. I got to go back to captaincies. So, invite. Now, what you have to do is make sure you do this every week, folks, because if you miss one, then it kills your stats. That doesn't take that into effect that you missed one. It hurts against you. So you got to pick. It's better to get one wrong than not pick at all. So there you go. So that's the link. If anyone wants to join it, come on. Stupid studio isn't working properly with YouTube. Somebody just joined the Facebook page, and I keep turning that off, and it keeps coming back on. It's annoying. Yeah, Matthew Dixon never nominates Super Brew. Gun owners are watching, all the non-gun owners preparing for us. Okay. Antoinette, how's it going in New York? What's up? How you doing? Good to see you there. Powerball. Who's playing the Powerball? If anybody wins, can I have some of that? Lauren just got home from work. Yeah. Well, maybe it's time for some lighthearted stuff. Let me see how many people leave when we do this. We're going to do something lighthearted now. You guys ready for something lighthearted? Yeah, we need to hear just something just chill. Let's do this one instead.
Pack your bags, leave the cape behind. There's a brand new horizon for us to find. From the streets of Joburg to the Pretoria Sun, a new chapter starting and it's just begun. It's not Santon, baby, and it's not Margate. We're trading the reef for the Lone Star State. No JRU or the South Fork crew, just a red, white, and blue welcome waiting for you. From Bosnia's hills to the Botswana sand, he's carried the fire all across the land. A life for the flag, for the faith, for the free. Now he's opening the gates for you and for me. Oh, get ready for the Colonel's Texas meet and greet, where the Southers and the Patriots all dance in the street. Under the eagle's wings, where the spirit flies high, underneath that big old Dallas sky, it's camaraderie, it's liberty, it's a brand new day. South Africa, welcome to the USA. You've been through the fire, you've stood the test. Now come find your peace in the heart of the West. No more looking back at the shadows and gloom. In the land of the brave, there is plenty of room. Grab a plate, grab a hand, feel the Texas heat. There's a whole lot of love at this meet and greet. The Colonel is coming, yeah, he's leading the way to the greatest nation where we're gonna stay. Purpose and honor, moral and just, promise of freedom. We put our trust from the Southern Cross to the bright Lone Star. We know who we are, we know who we are. Oh, get ready for the Colonel's Texas meet and greet, where the Southers and the Patriots all dance in the street. Under the eagle's wings, where the spirit flies high, underneath that big old Dallas sky, it's camaraderie, it's liberty, it's a brand new day. South Africa, welcome to the USA. The Colonel's in town, yeah, he's in town, in the Lone Star State. Don't be late. From the bushveld to the bayou, welcome home, welcome home. Welcome home, welcome home.
Oh, yeah. I did this one for my Texas meet and greet back in February. Yeah, the Texas meet and greet. Yeah. Anyway, so folks, at this time, Jay is not doing well in Alabama. Jay Langton, of course, spouse of Earl, who's known for many of the interviews he's done about being a South African refugee. And this is one that I wrote in honor of them last year. And so just a thought for Jay today. So here we go.
Alabama heat melts the road to gold.
New faces arrive with stories untold.
The air is thick, but the dreams are wide.
South African hearts crossing the tide.
Safe in liberty's embrace, where the stars and stripes find space. Sweat rolls down, but the hope runs deep. Alabama heat, Alabama heat. They carry talent in battered bags. No corruption here to plant new flags.
From the ashes of crime they rise.
With courage burning brighter than sky.
The past may haunt,
But the future sings. Freedom hums on broken wings. Safe in liberty's embrace, where the stars and stripes find space. Sweat rolls down, but the hope runs deep. Alabama heat,
Alabama heat.
Alabama
Humidity hugs like an old ghost.
But here they stand, a living toast to freedom's soil, to the promised land. With careless hands, they take a stand. Alabama heat. Alabama heat, Alabama heat.
Alabama Heat, that's for Jay Langton today. Hoping she's resting well in a difficult time for her family. Somebody did ask for this one. This is one of my favorites from a long time ago. I haven't done this one in a while, so here we go. Oh yeah, Sydney's Jeans. Remember that outrage a few months back? That's all forgotten about now. Sydney's Jeans.
I gave up on denim, thought it was dead. But Sydney's jeans turned my head. Faded blue with a reckless vibe, like a memory I can't untie. Sydney's jeans, so hot, so cool, making old rules feel brand new. I want a pair, I need them now. American Eagle, show me how. Thread so fine, they tell a tale. story, every stitch a sail. She walks the streets, she owns the scene. I'm chasing dreams in Sydney's jeans. They bring the past into the now. I'm sold, I'm hooked, I don't know how. Sydney's jeans, so hot, so cool, making old rules feel brand new. I want a pair, I need them now. American Eagle, show me how. Blue waves crashing on my thighs, wearing the stars under open skies. Sydney's vibe is the fire I crave. Denim dreams that can't behave. Sydney's jeans, so hot, so cool, making old rules feel brand new. I want a pair, I need them now. American Eagle, show me how. Sydney's jeans, so hot, so cool, making old rules feel brand new. I want a pair, I need them now. American Eagle, show me Sydney's jeans.
Sydney's jeans. So there's a question about whether I could teach people to horseback ride. Of course I can. Horseback rode my entire life. I used to have horses. When I was in my youth, I had Appaloosa gelding, a quarter horse mare, a Morgan horse mare, and also had a Shetland pony and a few others. So that was in my youth on a farm in Ohio. So I've ridden horses throughout my life, not as often as I'd like to, because horses cost a lot and I have to ride other people's horses. But horseback riding is something I'm very familiar with, and it's easy to do. The thing is, when you get on a horse that takes off, I've actually ridden horses in Swaziland too. I rode a horse there, but you need to understand how to ride in the saddle when you're going fast. Otherwise, your little pouch there is going to be quite sore if you're a guy. So you get some saddle sores if you don't know how to ride properly. But yeah, no, riding horses when they're just meandering along is a piece of cake. Yep. Anyway, horses are a big deal. There's a lot of horses around here too. There's horse ranches in Maryland and some here in Pennsylvania. Yep. So yeah, I know, Karen, it's not going well for Jay. Thank you, Ellen McGonigal, for your membership. Appreciate that. 23 months. Anyway, so yeah, I don't usually wear my cowboy hat outside the house, but I'm thinking about wearing it today. Yep. Yeah, it's very true. If you don't know how to ride in the saddle properly with the stirrups, when that horse gets going, you're going to have very sore. Your fellows are going to be hurting there. So just understand that. But no, it's horseback riding is a lot of fun. It's good stuff. And horses are amazing creatures. They really are. They're very empathetic. They read people very well. They understand emotions. They use horses here in a couple places in Pennsylvania for therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder for veterans. They proved to be very beneficial. So quite amazing. My normal hat is 7 1/8 or 7 1/4. This one is 7 3/8 actually. So I guess because my hair is longer than I used, so 7 3/8. So maybe my head got bigger. 7 3/8. This is the size of this hat. So it's a fitted hat. Yeah, and it's Ariat is the brand. Got this one in Vegas at the Ariat flagship store. Didn't know they had a flagship store until I went to Vegas this last time. But Vegas is getting pretty pricey even for me. A lot of bars that cowboys go dance at. Well, we don't call them pubs. We have pubs here, but they're bars. Tend to be bars. But some are pubs, like Irish pubs. Is your time wrong? Yes, that's wrong. The Chinese clock, I can't seem to get it to reset. I haven't focused on it. It's about 5 minutes behind. I have no idea who Steve Wilkos is. Never heard of the show, Amanda. I made a song about people coming over. Beautiful breeds. Started riding when I was 6, but I haven't ridden in decades. At least an X-Race horse was a great show jumper. I've never done show jumping or dressage. That's never something I've never done. Bareback one day and the horse decided to do something else, and I kind of received a compound fracture in my spine. Ouch, that sucks. Yeah, no, a horse can get excited and take off. It's not fun. A horse bit you. Yeah, no, horses do bite. They do bite. Well, this one won't break your FG's bank. So this hat here, this from Ariat. You can see Ariat on the inside there. See the Ariat there? That's Ariat. This one here I got from the Vegas store. And it's good quality. And well, it needs to be cleaned off a little bit there. The dust has got on it. It's a very good quality hat. Very nice. The hats cost, these damn cowboy hats go up for like $600-800 if you get them. But this Ariat hat I picked up at the flagship store in Vegas, and they gave me a military discount, and I got this for $100. I mean, that's a steal. This is an absolute steal for this hat. These hats are expensive. Yeah. I don't know how horses are with kids with autism. I've never seen that. No, the Ariat's a good quality. Stetson's great quality too. And they had Stetsons in store, but I went to the Ariat store and I'm like, I can't buy a Stetson in an Ariat store. It just doesn't make any sense. Garrett doesn't like horses. $100. Well, yeah, it was well worth it, Conradi. I don't usually buy things that are, I don't really need or don't use. I buy a lot of stuff for my program. A lot of things I buy to bring on the program. Like, I don't really care for Matchbox cars, but this is the 250th anniversary of America, so I got one of these little bad boys. Die cast. It's not actually a Matchbox brand. It's just kind of a, so anyway, stuff like that. But, anyway. Yeah, so people give me things. Really nice. I did buy those Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. Of course, for those of you Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh are 100 years this year. So Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, these are from the UK. I bought these when I was in the UK last time. The 100th anniversary of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. So I bought both of these. So, yep. Yep, 100 years. They're very soft, too. Very soft. And then the Bugger Off Bunny's right next to them. You should have been wearing trousers, James. You shouldn't be wearing shorts and get the hair stuck. Yep. Cadillac in the USA is very reliable. It's also pretty expensive. Let's take a look. I haven't looked at Cadillacs in a long time. Cadillac. Let's take a look. And there are 3 dealerships in a relatively reasonable distance from me. Didn't know that. Okay, let's take a look at what Cadillacs cost, okay? Oh, 0.9% APR for 6 years. Wow. For well-qualified buyers. Got to be a well-qualified buyer. I don't know what that is. Let's take a look at vehicles. Escalade, $130,000 for that SUV. $127,000 for that one. $171,000 for that one. Good God. This one's only $91,000. That Lyric is $59,000. Okay, XT5 is only $44,000. Okay, now we're getting down to my price range. Oh, you can only get this car by inquiry. This Celestiq, you won't know the price unless you do an inquiry. $58,000 for that one. $49,000 for this one. $36,000 is the cheapest Cadillac you can get. The CT4. Wow, that's crazy. Let's take a look at $36,000, what it gets you. All-wheel drive. Okay, it's all-wheel drive. Okay, that's cool. $36,000. 2.7-liter dual-volt turbocharged engine. Bose speaker. Cruise control. I don't want a rear-wheel drive. I want an all-wheel drive. Okay. Ooh, let's check that color. Yeah, that's ugly. That's all right. Midnight, that's all right too. I don't want the black. Not in white. Deep space metallic, nah. Nah, I think that gray one is the best. And then this, what about the green one? No. Red one or the gray one, yeah. For Cadillac, I think the gray looks good. Okay. Well, looks all right. Bose speaker system. Let's build one and see how expensive it gets. 37,000, 2.0 liter. No, I don't want the 2.0. I want 2.7 liter engine. Okay, here we go. I don't want rear wheel drive. I want all wheel drive. Where's the all wheel drive? It said all wheel drive. Oh, here we all wheel drive. There we go. All right, all wheel drive, premium luxury, sport. Let's try the premium luxury. All right, $44,000 for that. Climate, driver awareness package, driver assist. What happened to 2.7 liter engine? That's 237 horsepower, 2.0 liter engine, 4-cylinder, 8-speed automatic transmission, 18-inch wheels. Ooh, that's good. 18-inch wheels, luxury for a sedan like that. That's nice. Self-sealing tires. Wow, that's interesting. Sirius XM. Warranty is 1 year of maintenance for free. Bumper to bumper for 4 years. Okay. Automatic braking. Pedestrian braking. Okay. Can we change that engine, I wonder? Well, it looks all right. It's kind of small, but yeah. Work people wants a link. Sure. Is this Cadillac? There you go. I didn't know Cadillac was ever in South Africa. I've never had a Cadillac. I never thought of having a Cadillac. But I look at that car, that's not too bad. So maybe, just maybe. You're driving tin can with 4 wheels and steering wheels, so... Yeah, it may be a beast, but what does it cost? 2-liter AW and something that's nice and fast, 6-speed manual. Okay. I don't need a Tesla. Teacher's Pony Club made us ride bareback, turn right around while moving. After the horses inoculation not being ridden, we had to ride all the pony clubs to make them spun. Huh. What donkey car? You can't bring a donkey car to America. I have no idea what the best truck would be. It depends what you like. How does you think in the U.S. Army War College differ when you compare it to African security challenges usually discussed in policy circles? I'm not really sure I understand your question. Are you saying how do people at the War College think about strategic issues compared to policymaking circles in D.C.? Well, there aren't many people in D.C. that are focused on Africa. Most of us focused on other things. But yeah, no, the African topic at the War College is not a big issue. I've made it a big part of courses that I taught with my seminars. I brought it in because lots of examples. I could bring in all the key geostrategic issues that we're talking about internationally by giving African examples and ones that I'd experienced or ones that I was familiar with. So I would use that all the time when I taught, and it was very helpful. But generally, there isn't a lot of strategic thought put into Africa at the Army War College. Yeah, there was a lot more when I was there because I brought that element to it. So, yeah. Yes, Lauren Clegg, that is pricey. All that stuff's pricey. Cars are pricey. Yep. Bedford van. Never had one of those. Henry says secondhand cars are cheap. And you say, no, they're not. No, they're not. They're 2 and 3 times what they cost 10 years ago. Yep. Greg says Cadillac is one of those things we don't need, but damn, we like them. Okay. The most American car ever? Well, I don't know. I'm not a car aficionado. I just like nice cars that are safe and have features and get me around. I mean, I like my Chrysler, but the suspension I'm not too thrilled with right now. Every time I get inspected, they say there's nothing wrong with suspension, but when I go over bumps and tips, it's like it doesn't feel so smooth like it did when I got the car. So, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what the best one would be. Anyway, where are we at? Almost 2 hours here. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. Didn't realize we went that far. How are we doing on likes? Did we get some likes up there? We got 397. Getting close to 400 likes. That'd be nice. From V6s to rotaries to motorcycles, ended up with a Nissan Tilda. Well, Chrysler is owned by the Italians, and General Motors is owned by the government and shareholders. I own shares in General Motors. I wonder what that's going for right now. I bought it when it came back out. $78 a share now. So over 5 years, it's gone from as low as $28 in 2023 up to $78 a share. So it's had a good return. Good return. Yep. General Motors is a cash compounding machine. Buy the stock, this says. There's no story here. Where's the story at? Read the full article, okay? Shares repurchased boosted the stock. The other reasons to buy. Price to earnings ratio is only 5.91. Dividend is 0.83. Wow. General Motors isn't a car company. It's a cash machine. Detroit-based automaker has managed to pull off a surprising trick. Its market capitalization has dropped from peak of almost $100 billion when electric vehicle euphoria sent shares of Rivian to $108 a share. GM stock, however, is up more than 40% over the past 5 years, even as its market cap clocks in at around $75 billion today. The magic is share repurchases. GM has spent around $30 billion retiring 500 million shares over that span. The cash for the repurchases came from the business. Since 2021, it's generated about $53 billion in free cash flow, despite COVID inflating prices, tariffs, and ever-changing policies. Wow. Wow. Automotive free cash flow is $10.6 billion. Earnings per share at $12.68. That's pretty wild. Well, I guess I won't sell my GM stock then. Motorrad dealers, BMW. There are BMW motorcycles here. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Hey, Bambi Slayer, what's up? What does Sharon keep going on about donkeys? All right, guys, let's wrap it up here. It's Saturday, so I probably won't do Night Owls tonight, but I am going to do a video about June 30th here in just a few minutes. So thanks for tuning in. Excuse me for the yawn. That's kind of rude. Didn't mean to do that. But anyway, thank you. Be sure to hit the like button. Did we get the 400 likes? We did. We hit the 400 likes, and we're approaching 4,000 views for this stream. So thanks. You guys be well. Hey, George, good to see you there. All right, everybody be well. And that's going to wrap it up for this one. I've got stuff to do, as always, and take care of some personal stuff for a change instead of taking care of everybody else. That's probably a good idea for me. Maybe get something to eat because I'm famished. All right, see you guys later. Cheers. Be well.